Hello, and thank you for joining me as we uncover the most dangerous cult 2015. As many of you know, I've been writing about, researching, and speaking on the most dangerous cult for just about 20 years now. And this is an update at the previous DVD with lots of new information in it for you. It's also the only message I've ever put together where I use someone else's outline. And that outline came from my mentor, Dr. Walter Martin, the original and only Bible answer man, the one who taught me how to defend the faith, the one who impressed me to be ready always to give every man an answer for the hope that lies within us. Dr. Martin went to heaven suddenly in 1989, but his ministry lives on through many apologists in my era, as well as his books, including The Kingdom of the Cults, that is still in print today. In fact, it's a paragraph from his 1976 audio tape that I think I wore out 2 or 3 editions of that really inspired the title of this particular presentation. It wasn't that I was trying to memorize all his material, but it was such an inspiration to me to remember why we were doing what we were doing when the times got tough in those early days. I often wonder what Dr. Martin would say if he could see the day we live in on so many of the different topics that he spoke about and that he warned about. So with all that in mind as a backdrop, let's get right into the message, The Most Dangerous Cult 2015. So if I'm going to use the word cult tonight, I better define it. You know, that's a word that's very inflammatory to the world around us, but it's a descriptor that I think really fits, and I think you'll understand once we get a definition out there. So here we go. A cult is a group that believes doctrines other than the central or essential doctrines of Christianity as taught by the Bible. A cult usually has a strong authoritarian leadership or structure, such as the Mormon Church or Jehovah's Witnesses. A cult adds to, or in the case of the most dangerous cult, subtracts from biblical truth. A cult always depends on good works for acceptance, redemption, salvation, or whatever the main purpose the cult claims to have. And that really fits with the most dangerous cult. Paul talked to Timothy about this, and of course we see it in the scriptures here in 2 Timothy chapter 3. He said, "This know also that in the last days," and that's where I think we are, by the way, "perilous times shall come." It's not that they might come, but they're going to come. He says, "For men shall be lovers of their own selves, covetous, boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy, without natural affection, truce breakers, false accusers, incontinent, fierce, despisers of those that are good, traitors, heady, high-minded, lovers of pleasure more than lovers of God." You know, that sounds like we're describing the world around us today, and certainly it could describe much of what's going on in the world around us, but Paul is not discussing here what the world will look like at the very end of the end days. He's telling Timothy what the church will look like at the very end of the church age. Now, how do we know this? From the next verse. Paul says, "Having a form of godliness, but denying the power thereof." And his remedy for this, as he talks to Timothy, isn't to see what we might have in common with someone else. It isn't to try to put things out of the way that we disagree about. It isn't to see how close together we can come. You know, he's concerned for Timothy's spiritual health here. First and foremost, number one, he tells Timothy